everybody. It's great to be with you. And all right, there's something that popped up on my screen there. Great to be with all of you guys. Welcome to the Newcomers call. I'm Ryan Thompson. For those of you who don't know me, president of Actives, and being joined tonight by Angie Hawthorne, our chief operating officer. This call is really about all of our newcomers. It's not about me or about the founders or the founding of Actives as much as it is about the newcomers. So I'm going to try and direct my thoughts towards all of you. I see people who are already distributors on this tonight. That's fine. You're welcome to be on here. I would encourage people on an ongoing basis. Each month we do this and we rotate between David Brown and myself, is to make sure you have newcomers, make sure you invite new people. It's not, my words tonight are not necessarily designed for prospects or people who are kicking our tires, but rather brand new people who have just joined Actives. And with that, I will go ahead and get started. So make sure that you set a goal each month to have all the new people in your organization on this. Those of you who have been around for a while, you've heard my story, you know the background of Actives. And so it probably won't be of much benefit to you to listen to that, but certainly it will give a perspective to all the newcomers and new members of the Actives family on really what Actives is and what's behind us. So that said, I'm going to get started, but just giving you a brief overview of the background of Actives, a little bit of my background, how we all came together, and what in the old AM radio station WIIFM, which is what's in it for me, and speaking about each of you, what's in it for you, and how this applies to each of you. So I'll just get started by saying that I got started in the direct selling industry about 1995, and that was also nutrition. So it's always been nutrition for me, and nothing to do with what I studied in college, which is psychology. And but I really fell in love with the nutrition industry, and specifically with companies that distribute products through a direct selling or network marketing model. What that means, very simply, is not in retail, but rather through independent distribution franchises or entrepreneurs who will invest and start their own business. And I started to do that back in 95. In 1995, I knew nothing about this industry, and I was new to nutrition, but I was learning a lot of very, very interesting things. And back then, specifically what stands out in my mind, it was January of 1995 when I started this new job. And I can remember, if those of you remember 1995, it was really before the internet was ubiquitous, and it was around. The internet had come out, but hardly anybody knew how to use it. A handful of companies had web pages. We didn't really know how to talk about the internet very well. We would refer to it as the information superhighway or the web. And back then, people used to call me and ask me for the name of the company that I worked for, site. And I can remember telling them it's http://www. And then, I like roll my eyes and say, what am I don't even know what I'm saying here. Sound like I was speaking Greek, right? And then I give them the name of the company. But the reason why I point that out, just for context for all of you on this call tonight, and especially the newcomers, the reason why that stands out in my memory, and I'll always go back to January of 95, is because back then, working at this company, I was actually still in college at the time. People would ask me they would call and they'd ask me different questions. They'd ask me what the promotion for the month was. Sometimes they would ask me about ingredients that were in the products. Sometimes they would ask me, shipping questions like where their order was. But really why it stands out in my mind was because once a month, about 200 people whose accounts I used to manage, they would call me. And Grant, remember, I'm a college student. We didn't have cell phones. No one could log into a virtual office. This was before online banking, and they would ask me what their check for the month was going to be. I hope you guys remember 1995, right? 1995 is before any kind of online banking. And they'd ask me that, and I would ask for an ID number. They'd give it to me. I'd type it into the computer, and I would tell them what their check was. Now, why 95 stands out in my memory banks as significant, and why the industry, the direct selling industry, is relevant to this discussion tonight, is because of what my answer was to those people when they would ask me. They would ask me what my check was, and I would type in their ID number, and I would say, Susie, your check this month is $25,000. And I had someone named Craig whose check was $250,000. I had another Craig whose check was $300,000 a month. I had a lot of people who were earning $50,000 and $80,000 a month, more money than I was accustomed to ever seeing. My dad was a teacher. My parents were teachers. And I didn't grow up with seeing that kind of money or even knowing people that earned that. I quickly found out that the company I worked for, which is called New Skin, was a direct selling company, meaning it manufactured and sold nutrition and skincare products through independent distribution franchisees or independent distributors, right? Entrepreneurs who distributed the product, who use a variety of means to market the product. And they would also do is they would open up other independent outlets and help other people start their businesses. That's when I learned firsthand what the network marketing industry was. Now, why am I telling you this story? This is a Newcomers call. I'm telling you this story because that was a lot of money for me to be exposed to way back when, almost 30 years ago. That'll be 30 years here just in 2 years from now. It will have been 30 years since I did that job. Over the last 30 years, many people have said to me, or I've come across a lot of people who have said, that industry doesn't work. Network marketing doesn't work. MLM, they use all kinds of pejoratives to describe what they think it is, and they try and convince me that it doesn't work. I always have to look at them, now pay close attention to this, and explain to them, I'm sorry, you're trying to convince the wrong person, because I was a back office employee making maybe $10 an hour, maybe less back in 95. I don't remember how much I made. And I used to issue checks to people, to more than 200 people who all earned well over 25. Actually, I think that my people whose accounts I managed didn't earn under $50,000 a month. And I go on to explain to people that, you're trying to convince the wrong person. I know that the direct selling industry is viable and that it's created more millionaires than any other industry out there. And that the barrier of entry to get in and to reasonably start your own business is far more viable than any other traditional business or online business, which is available today. So that was my entree into the direct selling industry. I'm sharing that with you because tonight's call is really about you and why we started Actives. Fast forward from that period, I stayed at that company for almost 8 years. Then I left. I became a distributor myself of a couple of companies over the years. I won't go through all the details there, but I ended up having to go back to corporate and work corporate. In 2006, I started to be involved in launching companies that I was involved in founding. There was one company, 2006. I left that company. I had a big piece of a small pie, but I left that company to take a small piece of a big pie at a company called Zri that we decided to call Zri, that me and my co-founders did with Dr. Deepak Chopra. Angie Hawthorne, who's on the call tonight, she actually was there with me. She was actually there with me before then. She and I have been working together since 2003. So we go back quite a ways. Following Zri, I went on to, we took everything that we had at Zri and we went shopping for a new home with all of our employees and our top distributors. And after meeting with 15 to 20 companies, we decided to lock arms with, or to go with a publicly traded nutrition company that had a small product that had some interesting science. And the company was called LifeVantage. We pulled them out of retail, launched them into direct sales, grew that to about $200 million in 5 years or so. And I was there for 7 years. Now, after 7 years, I was consulting. I was consulting with 2 different companies, enjoying life. And I was contacted by an investor in Mexico who said, we know you from that company, LifeVantage. We're very interested in the science that you guys had there. and actually I flew to Mexico to meet with these investors from Sacramento, where I live, and they made me a proposal. I wasn't too keen on the proposal they'd made for me, but after a little bit of thinking about it and talking to my then partner, I decided to get in touch with some old friends of mine that were scientists, specifically Dr. Brooks Hybertson, Dr. Joe McCord, Dr. Gao, who had started a biotech company called Pathways Bioscience, headquartered at the medical school at University of Colorado. I corresponded, talked on the phone with Dr. McCord, ended up flying out to Florida, met with him the day after a huge hurricane. I mean, it was really funny how it happened. It almost didn't happen. I was stuck in a hotel room for 3 or 4 days. And then on the last day, the weather cleared and he and I met. And really the rest is history, because he showed me how epigenetics has evolved, how the science of what's called NRF2 activation had changed dramatically from what we thought it was back when we were at LifeVantage together. And talked to me about potency, and talked to me about some science that I thought would, it really needed, it had a story that needed to be told. So I flew to their lab in Colorado, met with his partners, other scientists, and after a few months got an agreement to license the most potent version of these new formulas that they had formulated. After about a year of traveling around and meeting with investors, I was corresponding also with David Brown, a guy who I'd worked with. He'd been the first CEO at that company. And he and I had always talked about wanting to do something together. And so after about a year and receiving a couple offers, one offer that would fund the entire project, I called him and said, hey, I've got an offer to fund and to start this company, but you and I always talked about doing something together. Why haven't you put me in front of your investors? It was kind of my last attempt at doing something with him. And he said, hey, I'm ready to go. Can you fly to Utah? So I flew to Utah, met. That was April of 2016. April of 2017, excuse me. And the rest is history, because he decided to redirect some of the funding from a manufacturing company he had into this. We partnered up. I called Angie. I called the team that was with me at the time and started to contact distributors. Contacted Christina Godoy, one of my neighbors who I'd worked closely with for years. And we started the company. We went into pre-launch. The vision at that point was to really launch in Mexico, do something that no multinational company had done before, which is launch in Mexico, focus on Latin America, and really make them the star of the company. My experience in this industry was such that after many years, many top earners in this industry benefited by what happened in Latin America, but had never been there. So I wanted to launch there and allow those people to become sort of our top earners, top ranks in the company before we opened up the rest of the world. So we did that, and it's been a tremendous experience for me personally to be able to accomplish that part of my goal and that part of the vision. Now we're at the process of really looking at our company. We've made it through the most difficult period, which is the startup mode, the first 5 years. And we're really starting to get into momentum right now. And we're focusing on opening the biggest market in the world as far as network marketing or direct selling, which is the United States. We also have our eyes set on other important regions of the world. Angie mentioned that my partner, David Brown, is in Japan right now with Stu Carvalho, who's a vice president of sales. And so we're starting to get a foothold in some of these other countries other than Latin America. Why am I sharing all of this with you today? Well, that's a little bit of my background. That's the genesis for Actives. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of fun. We were able to develop a compensation plan that's unparalleled. And what I mean by unparalleled, I mean, you will make more money with this compensation plan in Actives than you will make with any other compensation plan at any other company. And that's my Pepsi challenge, folks. And by Pepsi challenge, I mean, just send me another comp plan and we'll analyze it. I like doing this all the time. I like to see what other companies are doing. And we pay more money out to our field as a percentage of revenue than any company that I've ever worked with and any other contemporaries that I'm aware of. So that is making a big difference on real people's lives. Real families around the world that are getting involved with actives are able to make a meaningful income, and in many cases replace their full-time income. And it doesn't hurt to have a platform of epigenetic technology that is also unparalleled, that you can't find anywhere else, that is exclusively available for us. And I'm not going to go through chapter and verse of why this matters, but for all of you who are new to actives, you don't have to become a junior scientist. You don't have to memorize all the underpinnings and all the details of the products, but just know that our products are what make us different. They make us unique in this world, and they really represent the future of wellness and even the future of medicine, in the sense that they work at the genetic level. Now, why the trifecta? I talked briefly about the science that is afforded us through genomics. Genomics works at the genetic levels, and it's a gene regulator. In the United States, we don't sell that currently. It is available on a promotional basis with the purchase of certain packs. We also have other products that regulate gene expression, one of which is Link, and that specifically works with the microbiome, which is considered our second brain. So some people, when we launched that company, that product, said, why are we coming out with a gut product, right? A product for the gut. And the fastest answer, the quickest answer is not just that that's considered your second brain and that 200 million neurons are in your microbiome, or 95% of our neurotransmitters, and that 100% of our illnesses start there. And so we need to feed the mitochondria. But the reason is when you take any of our supplements, any other supplement or any other food, a lot of times people ask themselves, is this doing anything? Is this helping me get better? And the answer to that question has to do with whether or not you are metabolizing the micronutrients in that supplement or in the foods. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people take expensive supplements, or they spend a lot of money on organic foods, and it amounts to expensive urine. And I'm sorry to be gross, but that's sometimes what it amounts to if our gut is unhealthy, if it's overly acidic and it's not metabolizing the micronutrients in our food. So you need a supplement. You need something like Link, which is butyric acid, to feed the mitochondria to balance out the gut, thereby allowing it to metabolize. Metabolize is another word of, we say absorption. It enhances your ability to absorb all the micronutrients in the other supplements you take. So for that reason alone, it's really important. And it's sort of the second product in our trifecta. The third is tetrahydrocurcumin, which we call Optimend, right? And Optimend is a proprietary has a patented delivery method, making sure that your body can absorb the benefits of tetrahydrocurcumin. And I'm not going to get again into chapter and verse here, but it specifically targets inflammation, which is a foothold for all ailments, as well as chronic pain. So that's the trifecta that we're leading out on. And Arrow is a big part of that. It helps people manage their weight and have healthy energy. And of course, Amora is an anti-aging skincare product. So anyways, tonight, that's all I'm going to say. For all of you newcomers, just do what I've done. Memorize 1 or 2 or 3 features and 1 or 2 or 3 benefits. You don't need to memorize the studies. You don't need to learn big, long words that are new to your vocabulary. Just learn a couple of features and a couple of benefits to explain to everybody what makes us different. And that's what makes us different. The other thing that makes us different, truthfully, are the scientists who are behind the product. I've spent almost 30 years in nutrition, and I've never worked in a company that had as strong of a scientific advisory board or the profile for the formulators. Nothing measured up to what we have here at Actives. And why the name Actives? It refers to the actives in the ingredients. It refers to activating your genetic potential. It refers to activating your potential and really activating every aspect of your life, because we focus on improving your physical health as well as your financial health. And with financial health comes emotional, comes intellectual, comes mental, comes all kinds of other health aspects of health really hinge on your physical and your financial well-being. So that's why the name Actives. Now, WIIFM, what's in it for you, right? The old AM radio station. Well, I'm going to wrap this up and just say, for all of you newcomers, what's the most important thing that I can share with you tonight, aside from a little bit of the vision for what we had going into this company, what our background is? It really is vision, right? I want to go back to my story and talk about that first year that I just explained to you, right? And everything, and spending a year traveling around, spending my savings to fly to Mexico to meet with investors, strategic partners, with a scientist. Angie Hawthorne knows that I would fly to Utah. We went and had lunch a couple of times where I would update she and the team on how things were going. But there was a time when I felt very alone, right? There was nobody else. I had a partner who, we tried to give each other moral support. This is before David. And sometimes I really was by myself, and I would go to Mexico by myself. And it was not easy to hold on to the dream that I had to launch. In Spanish, we call it un proyecto de vida, my life's project, right? And there are a lot of people that said no. A lot of people said I was crazy. A lot of people said that it wasn't going to happen, that you're not going to be able to start a company or raise money to launch a company with products that with scientists that were already in the direct selling industry. There are a lot of that type of negativity. I could never let myself lose sight of that vision, right? I had to convince my wife to let me spend our money, to let me travel, even though this, I was just spending money to try and convince people and to put this whole thing together. And why I share that with you is why we're doing this call tonight. This is a newcomers call. And I think the most valuable thing that I can instill with you is the fact that you're not alone, right, in launching your Actives business. All of us have been through what you're going through. It's not easy to learn a new profession or to launch your own business, right? Even if you've done direct selling before, it's work, it's hard, right? There's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. But you can retire after a few years of doing this versus 40 years in traditional company if you do it right. I'm sharing my story with you also, the struggle, because why we're here has a lot to do with the fact that my partner David, other people like Angie, we never lost sight of our vision, right? We believed in it before it even existed. And I tell people this a lot. I believed in you before you were even here. And part of my year of being rejected and meeting with investors and trying to get everything put together so that we could launch a company, I had to picture you. I had to picture each of you and all the hundreds and thousands of people around the world that are joining Actives, and really believe that if I built it, you would come. That is the formula for success. So I encourage all of you in your first 30 days, your first 90 days, wherever you are in the first early stages of your business, make sure you do that. Make sure you visualize the vision of what you want to accomplish. Of course, your why. Now reverse engineer that why into attainable goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, but go as far as visualizing the people who are going to be joining you. Now, you may not know their names and you may not have specific faces, but you have to visualize people and know and believe that they will show up. Build it and they will come, right? So again, there's a lot of tactical things to do in your first few days. You should be scouring the library and the virtual office. You should be scouring the videos on the downloadable app if you haven't already done it. People ask, and many of you will ask this, what video should I share with people? What's the best video? The answer to that is the same for everybody always. Share the videos that resonate the most with you. Share the video that you like the most. Because when you share it with somebody and later follow up with them, the only thing that's going to get them interested in this is not the video. The video will pique their interest. You, when you speak to them, will transfer your conviction and your passion and your enthusiasm and your vision for what you see in actives. So when you scour the library and the app, do it from the perspective of, what do I really like? What resonates with me? And begin sharing that. The second thing that I'd encourage you to do, if you haven't already done it, is, and I don't like taking a passive approach to this. You're on this call tonight because you started your business. You've invested in a business, and I'm going to assume you want to make money and you want to build a business. This is not a hobby. It shouldn't be a hobby for anybody. This is an opportunity for you to really carve out your own piece of market share in the ever expanding nutrition category, which is $200 billion a year. It's massive. Okay. You get a piece of that. So make sure that you don't just read the success guide, that you don't just gloss over it. I want you to master it. And if someone says, that's too much work, I'm not looking for a job, I'm not looking to do that, then maybe that person doesn't want to earn very much either, right? This is something that requires effort, training, because when you master the success guide, which is just a few pages, it's not very long. What you're going to do is you're going to begin to understand the psychology of how to run and operate your own business. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm going to leave that with you as homework tonight to go back and do that. And again, going back to my first year at Actives, where I really had to visualize what this company is going to look like, I want to leave that with all of you as homework, to really visualize your business. What is it going to look? What's this year going to look like for you? Where are you going to end this year? What rank are you going to have? How much are you going to be earning? How about next year? When are you going to reach the rank of A12 and earn an average of $10,000 a year? How about the rank of A14 and earn an average of $20,000 a year? Really kind of start thinking about this, visualizing it. And the more you visualize it, the greater the likelihood and the higher the probability that you're going to actually realize these goals. So anyways, I realize I've said a lot and I'm talking a mile a minute here. But I want to I want to be short and sweet and give you what I think is the most important thing for all of our newcomers. So with that, thank you so much for jumping on the call tonight. Hello to all of our seasoned vets who I see on here. And I'd like to welcome cordially all of our newcomers to the call, and for whom this is a brand new venture. Look forward to working with you personally, and we're here to support you any way we can. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact us. And that said, make sure you don't miss any corporate calls or any training calls, and that you really are plugged into the system. And all that, I will see you very soon. And as always, guys, we'll see you at the top. Thanks a lot, and thanks for jumping on tonight. Have a wonderful week and a great night. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Angie, I don't know if you're still on and have any housekeeping that you want to cover. Looks like everyone's still on mute, so we will go ahead and wrap. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Ryan, just it's Joanna Becker. Hi. It's just for the points. We're gonna ask for birthday. Yes, with birthday March for reward points for our.
You're gonna do okay. Sounds like you're saying we're gonna do a raffle.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll take it away. Take it away.
I just want to know today participants. Who is the March birthday?
March birthdays. All right. Who has a March birthday? Anyone on here that has a March birthday?
Maria Clifton.
Maria Clifton has a birthday. Okay. So put in your ID number and Joanna, you'll take care of the
yes.
You'll take care of the free product.
Okay, Maria, thank you for joining us, and you have some reward points today. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. I already appreciate.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you, Joanna. Talk to you guys all very soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.